Hey everybody, let's talk about contracts for a second. Contracts with other beings are not necessarily of the highest good, and here's why. We'll talk about that as I go. Now, first of all, I have to introduce the tree. The tree has kept asking me to show it in a video, and here's the tree that I work by. There is the depths of it going up, and it is my work tree. As I say, it is my tree, because when I'm in flag, this is where I come to sit and work. Beautiful tree, beautiful nature here. I tried to film this reel like 3 times already, and people kept coming to the back and listening. So we're going to try and do this and um, not be interrupted by noisemakers and these other things. So we'll see what happens here. I asked them to protect the space some more. So let's see. Contracts and higher beings. Remember that as you go on this journey, you're going to meet a lot of beings. You're going to meet a lot of different beings. I have never had to sign a contract with one. I have talked with clients over and over, and they're like, we signed contracts. We were offered a contract. We agreed and signed a contract. And like going through this literal agreement of signing a contract in meditation or these different things. I had something happen recently to me where I was presented with a contract and I went, absolutely not. And this energy was talking about different things, and it's not the first time I've done this a lot. Let's sign a contract. No, absolutely not. My guides are kind of trying to remind everybody that when you sign contracts, you're essentially getting into a space of like karma as well. And the reason is that beings who are in a love frequency, and that's the only way to describe it, is a love frequency, a true love frequency, a true no quid pro quo. Beings who will have a contract, it's a quid pro quo. You do this, I do that. Quid pro quo. What am I getting out of this? How is this good for me? Ego, in a way. So they'll come to you. And I thought back on this experience because I've had some questions about it from other people. I've experienced it on my own. I've had to guide questions on or guide clients on being careful with it. It's your choice whether you sign contracts or not, spiritual contracts. It's also something that you should always remember that you can shred. You sometimes need to know how to go about doing that, but free will is a real thing. And so you can get out of certain things. Shred contracts. Now, I've shredded contracts with people before I knew they were being signed. Past relationships, um, karmic things, that type of thing. You go and you shred the contract and you go, I don't want that anymore. I'm out. Done. Part ways. Free will. What I realized in thinking this over is that I have made agreements with a lot of beings. A lot of beings. Not bad agreements by any means. Very good agreements. I do X, they do Y, they help me with something. Not a quid pro quo type of thing. It's more of I agree to do something, and then because I did it, they help me with something. Does that make sense? There's no expectation up front. They come to me and they say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And then laws of energy, laws of the universe, law of attraction, law of return, essentially. And I don't know if those are the laws. That's just the words that are running through my head. Law of return. This idea that I did something for a client, for a being, for a God, for whoever it is, and there's a return for me in the future. I don't have an expectation of that return, but there's a return for me in the future. Or in the case of, say, Odin, I went to Odin one time and I was in a really bad spot. And he said, he wanted me to continue doing something that I was doing for him. And I wasn't doing it. I didn't even know I was doing it for him. I just always loved Odin and Thor and them. But he came and he's like, I don't want you to give up. He's like, please don't give up. We need you doing this work. And it was about light work and stuff. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I need something. I need something because it was a big hole in my life type of thing. I was like, I need this thing, this concept, I guess. Not a thing. I don't really like that word. So I said, okay, I need this. And he goes, all right, well, I'll bring it to you. But will you do this work? And I went, yeah. I'm like, I will do it. You bring XYZ to me. And he goes, okay. And so I get into this space of working with him, for him in a sense, and knowing that I have an agreement with him, not a contract. I want to be very clear about that. There's no contract. There's no signing. There's no sign in blood. Somebody told me that the one day. They're like signing in blood type of thing. There's nothing binding energetically in that sense, because he knows and I know that if one of us decides not to fulfill the the part, we just separate, we just go our separate ways. Okay, fine. You don't want to do it anymore, fine. Walk away, type of thing. Galactics are the same way. They came to me once and they said, hey, we want you to write this book. We want you to do this thing. And I said, okay. It was in my authenticity. It was in alignment. They had been asking me for a long time. My guides have been, and it was to write the ET book, the third book of my series. I said, okay, but I can't write it right now. And they went, okay. They're like, what can you write? And I want my fairy book. And my other guides were like, yeah, have him write the fairy book first. So that's what I did. I wrote that book. And then I wrote my intuitives workbook, and then it led to the ET book. They were thrilled with that book. I also knew that was part of an agreement I had made with them. And I was like, mission fulfilled, mission accomplished. There wasn't a contract. I didn't get anything from it. They didn't come down and be like, hey, I did this. Now we're going to do XYZ. What it led to was return, energetic return, meaning that, I don't have a publisher. Those books are banned on platforms for some really interesting reasons, which are you can find on YouTube. And they didn't hit it big or make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything. What they did is they led me more into my authenticity. The return was me finding more of myself, healing myself, building this community, meeting all of you, helping you, creating a new reality for myself, escaping the reality I was in. That was the return. It had nothing to do with if I write this, I get this type of thing. The whole point is that if I can go the majority of my journey without signing a contract, then a being who comes to you and says, I want to do this and I'll do this for you, do this for me, I'll do this for you, and let's sign a contract, let's get it in writing, let's sign it in blood, let's do these different things. Be very, very careful. Very careful. Understand the agreement you're getting into. This has to do with anything in general, even just an agreement with galactics and beings you don't know, is to make sure you really understand what's going on. I understood in full what I was getting into. I understood in full what the galactics that were helping me, all these different things. But I never had to sign anything. They just did it because they wanted help. That was it. You help us, you help the people we're connected to, there will be a return. And I went, okay. And so I did that. I did my work, and it led me here. There was no quid pro quo. There was no expectation. I could back out at any time. I had choice, free will choice. Those beings understood that and didn't want to interfere with that. Anything that wants to interfere with it, free will, anything that wants to bind you, to force you into something because you signed something, probably not the highest good, probably not something that you should really be entertaining, type of thing. I wanted to put that out there. Just keep that all in mind and know that you can have agreements, but that's an agreement in love is different than a quid pro quo contract. Love you all. Grateful for each and every one of you.